All right, thank you for coming today to Living Web Farms. I'm hosting the Wim Hof method today, fundamentals, and it's just a fun introduction into the ice and breathing. So my name's Benjamin Pelton. I'm from Miami, Florida, and I found out about Wim Hof about 2.5 years ago now, and he really blew me away as far as what a human could do with their body. And so I realized I wasn't doing enough for myself, and I wanted to push myself a little bit further. So I started doing his 10-week course. As I was researching that, I realized that I wanted to meet Wim Hof. And so I was going to travel to Europe to find him. And then I saw that he was opening up an academy in the United States. And so I decided that it would go along with the other practices with the body that I do. And so I went ahead and applied for the academy and got accepted. And then since then, it's been an amazing journey of meeting all sorts of crazy people and traveling all over to do breathing and cold water training. And it's just really amazing, and it's changed my life so much. And I hope to share that with you, that impression that this has carried on to me, and give that to you guys. And I think that you're really going to enjoy this. So just have an open mind, and let's get after it. I want to play this video for everyone, just in case you aren't aware of what Wim's up to. I think this is a cool video if you haven't seen it.
The cold is an absolute doorway to the soul. There is so much unnecessary suffering in the world. We take pills, kill the symptoms, but not the cause. And apparently we cannot become happy, strong and healthy? Hey, I know the way. The cold is merciless, righteous. It brings you direct in the depth of yourself. You're not thinking. Your emotions stop. You are just surviving. And it brings you in the purity of the physiology as well as the soul. And you get in a different plane than our conditioning. And that makes you a free man.
What's special about Wim is that he kind of has this mind over body control that's pretty phenomenal. When he is exposed to the cold, his body just physically reacts differently from a lot of other people.
Right now I'm holding 26 Guinness World Records, and all related to extreme cold. My records range from staying in the ice for 1 hour 53 minutes in direct contact with the ice, running fastest half marathon barefoot, climbing Kilimanjaro in record time in shorts, swimming underneath the ice for longest distance.
Wim is a very special person. He has an aura to him that is very positive energy, but what you can see when he begins to breathe, he has the ability to focus his mind and body together in a higher function than most can do.
I created a method. The components are breathing, mindset, and cold exposure. Gradual, non-forced cold exposure. And that's to optimize the mind-body connection.
Wim has figured out ways, namely through breath work and through exposure to cold, to take conscious control over aspects of his physiology that, for most people, they simply can't tune into and control.
The cold, my warm friend, it brings about a whole lot of more energy, and that together with breathing makes you so powerful. But then you lose your wife and it all rumbles down. 4 children I had with my wife, and I was to be with her forever. She was the love of my life. She died. She suicided. It's a black hole within yourself. It breaks your heart and you don't know why, but the train of a daily life is going on and you gotta catch up, otherwise you lose it. So I had to be there for my children. And yes, we created a new nest. My children made me survive in that time, but nature healed my wounds. The cold gave me a direct understanding of deeper breathing and how to heal a broken heart. Then I went and did all kinds of remarkable challenges. Apparently, they found it very remarkable and great and spectacular. So I came in contact with television. One after the other, they challenged me more. Hey, go swim 50 meters under the ice. Go swim 100 meters under the ice. Climb Mount Everest in shorts. That led up that the scientists became curious. Hey, what this man is doing is not possible physiologically.
The science of what Wim Hof method does is one of the primary interests of my lab now because it is so powerful and it's been shown to be powerful in the immune system, and we believe it will also hold some real potential for treatment of neurologic diseases.
And this breathing technique brings you right into the deepest part of our physiology. Anybody can do it. So you become the alchemist of your own chemistry. Let's do this. Just breathe in. And let it go. Fully in. We become alkaline. More oxygen is getting in toward all cells. Then the alkalinity makes the chemistry right in our body. And then we are able to take a last inhale after 30-35 of these breaths. Deeply in, letting go, and you stop.
The Wim Hof method is neither distress nor eustress, thrilling. It's somewhere right in between where I believe adrenaline is high and cortisol is low, which gives the person who's doing the method this incredible feeling of well-being and control over their own physiology and mental state.
Why I teach this method? To show that with a simple method out of nature, we are able to tackle the greatest problems, which is depression, fear, anxiety, and pain. People with chronic pain. That's all unnecessary suffering going on, and all this industry is keeping on and say, yeah, that's normal, and I think that's sick.
If it turns out that non-ingestible approaches, such as breath work or cold exposure, can approach some of the potency that medications can provide or have failed to provide, then it's quite possible that one can heal from the inside.
Guess what? We found the proof to tap into our body and mind, enabling us to become happy, strong, and healthy.
As you can see in the video, it's extremely powerful. Even the scientists now are really pulling the veil back and letting people know that this is as powerful as some medications or more powerful. And meeting Wim firsthand and feeling his energy is pretty remarkable. So I have to express this, it's very important that you guys practice the breathing method in a safe and comfortable environment. You can become very dizzy and faint from the breathing and can potentially pass out. So it's very important that you do not practice the breathing near water because you can pass out and drown in the water, or near objects that you can bump your head. While I was at a course, one of our participants was breathing and seemed like he was well within his body, and next thing you know, he just passed over and fainted and cracked his eye open. So started bleeding, and yeah, he was all right at the end, but it just shows, I was shocked myself. I didn't think this guy would have had that reaction. So it's very important that you abide by the warning, that this is powerful stuff, and you listen to your body and you're in control. So the Wim Hof method is a practice that gives you control of your body and your mind to be happy, strong, and healthy. The method is 3 pillars: breathing, cold exposure, and mindset. The breathing can take between 15 and 20 minutes daily. I do mine every morning. As soon as I wake up, I get out of my bed and I lay on the floor and I do 5 rounds of breathing. Today we're gonna do 3 rounds, 2 sets of that. Cold showers, you can do that 3 to 5 times. You can do it every day if you want. I finish my hot showers with a cold shower. So it actually makes it a little bit more challenging because I'm enjoying the hot water. And so when I want to switch to cold, it's like a little challenge in itself because my body's like, oh, this feels so good. Why do I want to go to cold? But that's a little way to train yourself. And also the science has shown people that take cold showers daily are less likely to get cold and flu symptoms throughout the year, comparably to other people that don't take cold showers. So adding that into your routine is powerful. And then the mindset is a result of both the breathing and the cold. The Wim Hof method can be practiced by every healthy individual. Things to be advised against: epilepsy, high blood pressure, coronary heart disease, so forth. This method is pretty basic. It's a breathing routine and introduction of cold showers, and then, you know, getting into deeper cold as you get progressed. What we're going to do is, as a group, we're going to take 3 breaths in, nice and easy, and then we're going to hold our breath. And we're going to mark that down on our paper and see how long we can go. So we're going to do a deep breath in, let it go, deep breath in, one more, and stop and hold your breath. Now I have this timer running for you. Next time I'll have it on the projector so that we can use that. But no force, so when you feel the urge to take the breath, go ahead and do that. We're just doing this to see where your normal breathing breath hold is at. No force. Whenever you feel the urge, just make a note and write it down on your paper. Now, for anyone that feels up for it, we're also going to just do a push-up test. So we're going to see how many push-ups you can do. So what we'll do is we'll just get in the position and just go ahead, and on your own, we're going to do as many push-ups as you think you can before you start to really burn out. You don't have to do that, Steve. You could just...
I'm trying to get my shoulder back.
All right.
It won't be breathless.
So then write that down in the thing for push-ups. Nice. No, don't overdo yourselves. This is just a little note to see where you're at. Cool. Nice. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So what we did, we're just taking a kind of a standard to see where you guys are at. And then when we go through the method, we're actually going to retest and see if you have any kind of increase in performance. Now into the nitty gritty. So on the right is our human body, and we have our brain and our spinal cord, and that makes up our central nervous system. And then all these little green wire-looking things coming out the side, those are the peripheral nerve tissue that runs through your body. And the peripheral nerve system connects with our sensory inputs, which are like eyes and ears, proprioception. And then over here we have motor, which connects to our motor units. And there are things that are automatic and things that we actually mentally control through our body. So the autonomic processes are considered things that we can't actually control through our volition. And some of these things are like digestion or our eyes dilating. So what we have with this autonomic system is a parasympathetic system and a sympathetic system. And what these two kind of opposing systems for our body do is prepare us for action or prepare us for rest and recovery. And the best way to explain this is, imagine we're all cavemen and we woke up in our cave and we're getting ready for our day. And we're gonna go collect food for our family to bring back and eat for the rest of the evening. So we're gonna get our body prepared for action. And so on the right side of this chart, you see things like dilates pupil. So our eyes are gonna immediately open up more so it can receive more information into our body so that we can do the things we need to do. Inhibits saliva flow. That's gonna create less hunger for our body while we're out hunting and gathering. And we won't be thinking about consuming. Heart rate accelerates. Digestion inhibits because we're not ready to eat because we're still hunting. And we're also inhibiting reproduction system because we're not really trying to mate, we're also trying to hunt. What's interesting about this setup is that the one thing we can control is our breathing pattern. And so the Wim Hof method is a breathing routine that creates a parasympathetic stimulation and also a sympathetic stimulation. And so this is our way to actually hack our autonomic processes and manipulate our body's systems through breath, which is really cool. So when you exhale, you activate the parasympathetic system, and when you inhale, you're going into sympathetic system. So it's very soothing when you take a deep exhalation, because that is causing us to go into parasympathetic. So this is how the nervous system is broken down, and it's really cool that we actually are able to tap into it. Okay, so now we're just going to teach, I'm going to teach you guys some breathing techniques. So Steve, if you want to actually come lay down over here, we're gonna all lay down on the mat, and we're just going to tap into a deep diaphragmatic breathing. So Avery and Jason, if you could just like put your feet down at this end, and what we're going to do is just have you guys put your hands on your stomach, more towards like your belt line, down by your waist. There you go. And what we're going to do is practice breathing into your hands. So just imagine filling into your hands as you inhale, and then exhale gently. So Avery, actually put your hands a little bit more towards your belly button. There you go. And just breathe into your hands. Nice. So what we're trying to do is focus the breath down into the waistband and less into the rib cage. So as we slowly inhale, you should feel your belly rise towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, it should fall down towards the floor. So deep breath in. Good. So we're just going to do this for a little bit to situate you guys, and I'm going to work with the different people. Good. So if you actually push a little bit more and then breathe into your hands. And then as you feel your hands come up, there you go. Again, into your hands, just breathe. Good. Now here's another trick. Yeah, you're doing great, Steve. Yeah. Right there's perfect. You can even, if you want, you can put them right here and breathe right into these fingers. Just aim for that area right there and just breathe. Good. And even you can think about your waistband too. Breathing into your waistband. Jason, you look good. You look like you know what you're doing with the breath. Sweet. So I'm gonna have you breathe a couple more, 20 more maybe, just to feel that deep diaphragmatic breath. So when you access your diaphragm, you're actually gonna get a deeper breath each time. If you're breathing through your rib cage, then you're not activating your diaphragm as well as you can. Focus on breathing deep. Cool. So now what we're going to do is another exercise to activate the lower abdominal region for breathing deeply. And it's called alligator breathing. So what I would like you to do is just roll over onto your stomach now. And you're gonna use the floor as a way to breathe, the same method now, but you're gonna breathe your stomach into the floor. And what I want you to do is breathe your belly like you were towards the ceiling, but now breathe it towards the floor. And you should feel like your lower back is pushing up against the floor. So just breathe here. Nice. And then exhale down. Yeah, so feel your back's coming up as you inhale. Nice. So this is another way to create proprioception in the lower abdominal region by using the floor to breathe against it. So just imagine breathing right into my hand. There you go. And then exhale. Better. Good, just relax. Breathing into the floor. Each time thinking about taking your belly and expanding it out with each breath. Good. This is a really powerful exercise for reprogramming diaphragmatic breathing. The one where you put your hands on your belly can be a little bit tricky for your mind to feel the pressure on your hands. So when you use the floor, it forces you to really push against something, which then brings you into a deeper breath. Thinking about your belly button going into the floor. Nice, Jason. Good job, Steve. There you go, Avery. Focus on your pelvis area, breathing deep into your waistband. Good. Awesome. Now let's just roll over again, nice and slow, coming over, and we're gonna sit into a sitting position. You can go half lotus, you could do cross your feet, Indian style, whatever's most comfortable for you. We're just gonna do some upright breathing now through the nasal. So some people ask me, how should I breathe during the method? Should I breathe only through the mouth? Should I breathe through the nose? What's the best option? Here's the answer. When you breathe through your nose, you release nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. So what it does is it opens up your circulatory system from nasal breathing. So when we're doing the method and you want to have the optimal result, then you breathe through your nose for getting nitric oxide into your blood system. But if you're congested, broken nose, can't get through your nasal cavity, then you can breathe through your mouth. It's going to still elicit a powerful effect through the mouth, but if we want to get nitty-gritty with the science, nasal breathing lets out nitric oxide, that goes into your lungs, goes into your blood system, creates vasodilation, meaning opening up of your circulatory system. So right now we're going to actually practice some nasal breathing. So we're just going to go in the mouth, in the nose, and out the nose. Good. As you're continuing to breathe, think about what we just did prior to this. We did diaphragmatic breathing with our hands on our belly, and then we also did alligator breathing. So when you do the nasal breathing, think about filling your waistband as well. Always in your head, think deep. And it might feel a little bit different, and it will, because we're sitting. Now we're going to try something different. We're going to go with our right hand, and we're going to put our thumb on our right nostril, and we're going to inhale through our left nostril. And then exhale through there. Now with the pointer finger on the same hand, we're going to switch over to our left nostril and open up our right nostril. We're going to breathe through our right one. Now you might notice it's a little bit difficult from one nostril to the other. So doing this exercise, so we're gonna, again, close the right one. Take an inhale. Close both. Switch over and exhale. Inhale from there. Close. Switch over. Exhale. Let's do it again. Close. Switch. And exhale. And inhale. Close. Switch. And exhale. Nice. So, what did you think of that?
Man, made a bunch of boogers coming out.
Okay. All right. Jason?
It's definitely a lot harder to get the breath in through one nostril and out through one nostril. It took longer.
Right.
And one nostril is a little more clogged for me.
Me too, me too. What about you, Steve?
Same. I didn't think they'd be so different.
Right, exactly. Because
Wow, I'm only stopped up on one side.
right. So this exercise that I just showed you is from pranayama breathing. It's a type of yoga breathing, and by practicing that, you will begin to open up your sinuses and they will balance out. And what you can do is they do like 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, and a 4-second exhalation. But that's pretty advanced. You could do 2-2-2, 1-1-1, 8-8-8. You know, the advanced people are going longer. But what that will do is begin to rebalance your sinus cavities and get the air flowing better through your nasal cavity. Cool. Now we're gonna go to different postures. So everyone, let's take our hands and we're gonna put palms up. Now I want you to rotate your thumbs down, and then I want you to kind of round your back like this. And now I want you to take a breath in and exhale. Another. Really round those shoulders, really get, one more deep breath in. Okay, now we're gonna take our hands and we're gonna go the opposite. We're gonna open them, take them back behind you, take your chest out, big chest, and we're gonna inhale. Nice. Okay, take a break. You notice a difference between the two? What did you notice?
It's easier to breathe when your chest is opened up. Your diaphragm can move, all your muscles, your forced inhalation muscles work a lot easier. Way easier.
Way easier, right? So this should be a good note that when you're on your computer or you're at your desk or whatever it may be, you're driving your car, when your body is kind of internally rotated with your shoulders, which then collapses your chest, and you kind of flex your back a little bit, this narrows and constricts your breathing chamber. Your diaphragm's cramped up, the muscles for inhalation are all out of position, so it's a lot more difficult. And what that means is you're not actually getting a full breath of air in. So as you go through your day, you want to think about opening up your chest, breathing proudly, because you're going to actually get more air in. So having the right postures while you breathe is also very important. I like to lay down when I do my Wim Hof method because I just feel like I get more into it versus sitting. But some people like to sit while they breathe. So it's kind of a preference thing, but I wanted to share with you the different feelings of being open and closed with your posture. Okay, cool. Now we're gonna do some diaphragmic stuff. I want everyone to lay back down how we were originally, backs on the floor, toes this way. And we're gonna practice doing a short breath first. So we're just gonna breathe very shortly and then back out. Okay, now I want you to go back to the deep diaphragmatic breathing we did first. So imagine filling your waistband and then exhaling nice and easy. So deep breath in and now the way out. And now again, I want you to imagine taking that deep breath and cutting that in half and only breathing about a half or less than the full breath. So the purpose of this comparison is that when you breathe all the way down into your waistband, your diaphragm is flattening out completely. If you breathe only halfway into your chamber, then your diaphragm is only opening up or flattening out to about half the capacity that it really has to give you. So this is just another reminder that the deeper you breathe, the more you activate your diaphragm and the more air you're going to pull in. Nice. Cool. Does anyone have any questions? No? All right, let's sit back up again. So we're going to do 3 rounds of 40 breaths. The breathing pattern is going to be like this. Deep breath in and let it go. Deep breath in and let it go. Okay, so we're going to do 3 rounds. And at the end of the 3rd round, I'm going to have the timer going again. Because what we do on this method is 40 breaths in with the let go. And at the end of the 40th breath, you're going to exhale all the way out gently. It's not like a all the way out. It's just a relax and then stop. And you're going to hold that breath for as long as you can. That is the retention period right here. And then after you can't hold your breath any longer without force, then you're going to take 1 deep breath in. And we're going to cycle this 3 times. And at the end of the 3rd round, I just want you to look up at the timer again and see how long you're holding your breath. Okay? So for this also, we'll do music in a little bit. So this is going to be the first set of breathing, and then we're going to do another set as we get ready for the cold. But this is just an introduction. So you can either do it sitting or lying down, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I'm going to guide you guys through this, and we're going to get breathing. And just remember at the end to look up and find your time. So we're going to go deep breath in and let it go. Deep breath in and let it go. All the way in and let it go. Deep breath in, let it go. Keep going. Feeling light and tingly in the fingers? That's okay. Go into that feeling if you are. Keep going, 10 more. 8, 7, 6. Deep breath in, let it go. 2 more. Let it go. 1 more deep breath in. Let it go and stop. CO2 levels have gone down. Oxygen in your body is up. Witness physiology. Notice how you can hold your breath long. When you feel the urge, you'll take 1 deep breath in, but you could probably hold your breath much longer. Hold that for 10 seconds, the first breath, when you feel the urge. And then you can just jump back into the next round. Okay, we're gonna start the next round. Here we go. Deep breath in and let it go. Deep breath in and let it go. All the way in and let it go. All the way in and let it go. Keep going. Your body might yawn because it's relaxing itself. Keep breathing. Deep breath in and let it go. Feeling light, feeling tingly in your fingers or toes, that's good. Keep going. Ten more. Seven, 6, 5, 2, deep breath in, 1, 1 more deep breath in, let it go. Last one, deep breath in and let it go. Stop. CO2 levels are down, oxygen levels are up. Witness physiology. Notice how you can hold your breath much longer. Feel relaxed. Feel at peace. Just relax. No force. So when you feel the urge, take that one deep breath in. You're going to hold that for 10 to 15 seconds. And then we're going to go into that third round. Okay, here we go. We're going to begin the third round. Deep breath in and let it go. All the way in and let it go. Feeling light and tingly? That's good. Go into that feeling. Keep going. Deep breath in and let it go. 20 more. Here we go. Ten more. Deep breath in, let it go. Go into that feeling. Feeling light and tingly, that's good. Five more. Deep breath in. Let it go. Two. Deep breath in. One. One more deep breath in. Last one. Deep breath in. And let it go. Stop. Feel relaxed, feel at peace. CO2 levels are down, Oxygen levels are up. No force. When you finish a round, look for the timer. Nice. Awesome. Jason, you did 2 minutes. How's everyone feeling?
Dizzy.
Tingling in your fingers?
My head is warm.
Yeah. My abdominals kind of like cramped up for the last minute. I can't really hear out of my ears. Feel like I've got cotton balls in them.
Like a ringing?
Yeah, ringing, but a little less ringing and more just cotton balls, like I'm underwater or something.
Nice. So you can mark down 2 minutes. Steve, how you feeling?
Good.
What did you think of the breathing?
Kind of spaced out at the very end. Before I was supposed to hold my breath. I was like, stop breathing, basically.
Right.
So I don't know if it went as long as I might have, but the cool part was that I messed up the instructions the first time and held my breath with a full lungful.
Yeah, I did that first time.
And so now I passed my time with a full lungful with no lungful.
Right, right.
Which was cool.
Exactly.
Did you pass your time with a full lung?
Yeah,
Like I breathed in I didn't hear it right the first.
the first time I tried it at home, I was doing it with a full lungful, and then the second time, once I was like, and I did it for like a minute, and I was like, oh, that's the longest I've ever held my breath. And then he's like, someone told me you're supposed to empty your lungs and do it, and I was like, oh god, I'll only be able to do it for like 30 seconds, but I could do it for longer without anything in there. It's pretty.
I always loved this feeling as a kid growing up because this is how if you exhale and can hold it, you can sit on the bottom of the pool.
Right.
You sink.
Or else you don't sink. Yeah,
right.
I used to do that.
So it's really fun to be able to do it along. It's a neat weightless kind of thing.
Nice. That's a great response.
So it's fun to be better at this because I remember training for it as a kid, not trying to train for it, just so I could stay on the bottom of the pool longer, playing with stuff.
Let's do that.
How'd you do, Avery? What'd you think?
My head got all warm.
Did you notice a difference in your time? Were you able to hold your breath longer?
Yeah, a little bit.
Cool. Awesome.
That's about 10 seconds, yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit more. We did that already.
Is it not safe to sink to the bottom of the pool after doing the breathing?
So it's ill-advised to do the Wim Hof method before going in the pool. No, you could do that on your own, but I have to tell you, we don't do the Wim Hof method before getting into the water.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a great story, great story.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah. I'll explain to you why we don't want to do that actually. So this is pretty much.
Yeah, I just remember it being a neat feeling. I didn't mean to say.
Yeah, no.
Suggest everybody get in the pool and you lose customers and stuff.
No, I didn't take it that way at all. It's actually cool to be able to sink to the bottom and still be there. So this is a graph of what normal breathing kind of looks like. This red line is your oxygen saturation, and this blue line is your CO2 saturation. So this blue section right here, that's your retention time. So that's when you hold your breath. So as you can see right over here on the left, as you begin to hold your breath, your oxygen starts to deplete and go down. The signal for breathing actually comes from your CO2 levels in your body. So as you can see on the left, as you hold your breath, your body begins to build up a CO2 reserve. And then this dotted line right here is the breathing stimulus. So what ends up happening is you become so acidic with CO2 that your body is literally like, breathe, I'm gonna burn you till you breathe. So that urge you're feeling is CO2. And then what happens is you take a deep breath in and your oxygen levels go back up and your CO2 goes down as you exhale. And then this goes back to a balanced situation. So this blue section of this graph is when you're holding your breath. And again, oxygen goes down as you hold your breath, CO2 builds up. When you get to this breathing stimulus, you take a breath in, oxygen goes back up to 98, 99% saturation, sometimes 100, and then your CO2 goes out because you exhale. Okay? What we just did was Wim Hof overbreathing is one way to call it, or hyperventilation breathing, or just Wim Hofen. So check this out. When we were breathing each round, there is a slight, this is a little exaggerated, but there is a slight increase of oxygen saturation right here. This could be, right at this number, could be 97% saturation, and this could be 100% saturation. You can get a little oximeter, which is a device you put on your finger. I have one in my bag. Essentially, it will read how much oxygen saturation we have in our blood. Most of the time it reads like 98%. If you do this breathing, hyperventilation, you can see it go up to 100. Now there's some argumentation going on as whether or not we can store more oxygen in our cells. So we have something called hemoglobin, and hemoglobin is what oxygen binds to in our blood and travels to our cells to then release oxygen into the cell. CO2 is actually what releases the oxygen from the hemoglobin. So without a certain level of CO2 saturation, the hemoglobin will not release oxygen off of its cell. So we need CO2 as a way to relinquish oxygen from hemoglobin. So there's a little bit of debate going on as whether or not a cell in the cytoplasm has the capacity to hold more oxygen, more so than just hemoglobin storage. But back to what we just did. So right here we're at 97%. We do the overbreathing like a first round, and then we get to 99%. And here's what also happens. When you do the hyperventilation breathing, you actually expel a lot of CO2. So this blue line right here is our CO2 line. And as we're breathing, we're lowering our CO2 reserve. Then we begin our breath hold right here. We use our oxygen, right, as we hold our breath. But because we lowered our CO2, we're able to hold our breath longer because it takes longer for this CO2 to rise up to this breathing stimulus. So we go back, notice the difference of this dip. see how the red line goes a lot further? That's because of this CO2 line being lower. So Jesus. Here we go. So this is normal breathing pattern. You hold your breath. You didn't get as long as you did in the second time when the breath test. We breathe, over breathing. We raise our oxygen just a little. We lower our CO2 significantly. Remember, CO2 is what determines when we need to breathe. So this allows us to use more of the stored oxygen before we need this breathing stimulus. Now, about the pool and going into the water, holding our breath. The reason we do not do that is because of this area right here. And what this area is that our body is still not getting a stimulus for a breath of air because our CO2 is really low. So you're in the pool, you're swimming, you're cool because your CO2 is really low. But what ends up happening is as you're swimming, you're using oxygen, right? The brain is really smart at preserving the brain. It doesn't want to damage itself. So what can happen is as the oxygen level gets too low, your brain will shut off and you'll black out as a way to protect itself. Now, you didn't get the breathing stimulus because your CO2 is really low, but because you now have used all your oxygen, your brain's still going to just say, hey, I need to shut off because I want to save the brain. Then you black out and then you drown. So that's why doing this method is extremely dangerous in water. It's okay. No, Steve, I'm really happy you brought that point up. It's a very important point that they teach us to reiterate over and over again. So the fact that you brought it up is really helpful for other people because this is called a black water or blackout water drowning or water blackout drowning, which is essentially you have your CO2 level so low and your oxygen so low, your brain shuts off and you pass out. But the cool thing is this stimulation from CO2, most people never get it in their day. They don't actually hold their breath long enough to get this breathing stimulus. And so you're not getting the proper adaptation occurring with breathing because you never stimulate enough CO2. You don't hold your breath during the day. So the Wim Hof breathing is very powerful at getting CO2 down and beginning to extend how long you could hold your breath. This is some pretty interesting stuff that I think is really important. When you have a normal oxygen, that's O2 and CO2 ratio, then you have kind of like a normal circulatory system, right? But if we're doing our hyperventilation breathing, our overbreathing, what happens? Let's go back to this graph. So we have a high level of oxygen building, right? And we have a low level of CO2 building, right? So what does that do? That creates vasoconstriction. You have a question, Steve?
I'm just trying to follow it.
Okay. So let me explain what our circulatory system is capable of doing. So in this lining of our blood vessels, our arteries and veins, we have smooth muscle tissue, kind of like your bicep, your pectoris, your glutes. You have muscle lining in your actual tubes of your circulatory system. And they have the ability to constrict and dilate. Okay? And those two functions occur based on the level of oxygen in the body and the level of CO2 in the body or in the blood system. When you're in a state of high oxygen, you're also in a state of low carbon dioxide or CO2. And when you're in a state of high CO2, you're normally in a state of low oxygen or O2. See that? Okay? So what happens is, as you get high CO2, you get vasodilation because you're needing oxygen to your cells. So your circulatory system opens up the capacity for more volume of blood to flow, and that's going to help deliver oxygenated blood to your cells. You know, it's going to be a lot easier to take oxygen through a big pipe than through a little pipe to the cells that are asking for it. So this is a cool function that when you do your breathing exercises, you're actually training the musculature of your circulatory system. And why is that beneficial? The better your circulatory system works at pushing blood through, the less work your heart has to do. So this will take off some of the labor from your heart, having to pump the blood. So when you have this function going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, that's contributing to the work of moving blood through your entire body. It's going to help with those cold hands, cold feet, because it's pushing blood better. It's going to lower your heart rate down because it doesn't need to get it going as quickly to get the blood there. So just doing the breathing alone of the 30 to 40 breaths, hyperventilating with a breath hold after, takes you right through this function, training the musculature of your circulatory system, which is really a powerful fact. And then here's the other cool thing, actually. Now that we're on this little stage, we got the words optimal alkalosis and acidosis. And when you think about this, CO2 is acidic. So the more CO2 we get out of our body, the more alkaline we become. So if we go back to this graph and we have high oxygen, which is alkaline, low CO2, which is acidic, then our pH level is in a state of alkalinity. And then as we lose oxygen, build up CO2, we become in a state of acidosis. So within just breathing alone, hyperventilating and then holding your breath, you go from a state of alkalinity to acidity. But if you repeat that, you're then creating the ability to cycle alkalinity, acidity, alkalinity, acidity. And then your body gets more optimal at being in a better ratio all the time. So doing this breathing in the morning kind of primes your system for the rest of the day.